So a lot of organizations struggle to adopt the cloud for many reasons. I think that we are all familiar with the resource constraints being one of the bigger reasons. A lot of times people don't have whether it's the staff or the staff with the proper knowledge to deal with these migrations. On the other hand, budget constraints, time constraints, which a lot of times with these big organizations kind of end up being synonymous, because people tend to view migrations as a sunk cost, which is a little bit of a logical fallacy, just because once you invest in all of these resources and can kind of fill in those gaps with the budget talent constraints, then you're going to be able to save a lot more money and have a lot easier time developing your software applications and updating your business really to meet changing requirements. So that's probably one of the bigger issues that is most commonly talked about. Those are obviously very viable reasons, but it's my belief that it's one of those things where you just kind of have to bite the bullet. And once you're able to get the resources that you need, that issue kind of falls by the wayside a little bit.
You can think of many different challenges in identifying, in attracting and retaining talent. For example, what is a good way for you, who's had little to no experience in operating on the cloud at scale, how are you going to determine if an individual has the appropriate amount of experience? What are the right questions you're going to ask this individual? How are you going to evaluate this individual through the hiring process? The challenge is also that today you find a significant amount of individuals who are certified in that space. Maybe you have a candidate that you're talking to who is certified in a certain public cloud provider's architecture or solutioning, any number of those areas. Now, is that sufficient for the sort of challenges that you're trying to solve? Does this individual have the appropriate experience? So there are a lot of questions, and while you try to eliminate the possibility of hiring right, you are now getting into a situation where you are also trying to deliver because you've already made promises to the business, and there are outcomes that have been committed to. So as you're trying to work through your resourcing gaps, you're also trying to understand an environment that you're not familiar with and hiring for that environment, and you still have a business that you need to deliver to.
When you're looking at talent, it takes a special skill set and knowledge to be able to manage public cloud environments, to understand and manage the security and compliance factors that come with managing all your workloads and data in the cloud. And a lot of times, sort of the fear of that, of not having that, keeps companies from migrating, or they'll start migrating certain workloads and realize they don't have the people in-house to manage that, especially if you're coming from a less modern organization and you have a lot of legacy systems, maybe legacy tech stacks. A lot of your talent resources are going towards maintaining those maybe outdated technology stacks that the number of developers who understand that language is small and expensive. So you've put your resources sort of in that bucket and maybe not focused on building your talent pool that understands more of the modern technologies and understands true cloud optimization and how to run that sustainably. So when companies say we started moving our workloads, but we stopped because of security concerns, that doesn't always mean and it actually rarely means we had, a security breach or something like that. It often means we don't know what we're doing, or we don't know what these cloud solutions can do for us. We don't have people in-house that can help us there. One of the best things that you can do is to see that pitfall coming and to invest in the talent and the knowledge beforehand. Sometimes that can be outsourcing certain functions to specialized groups. Sometimes that can be hiring. A lot of times that's bringing in a third-party consultancy to help you with migration and help you set up tech shops that truly understand the cloud environment that you're moving into, and working closely with a cloud provider that can communicate how their solution works for you. The security and compliance, for example, the services available in public cloud providers are really advanced. They're much stronger than if you tried to continue operating on premise, but you do have to know kind of what you're doing and find a partner that will help you grow your talent pool.
A lot of organizations are really hesitant to retire some of their legacy applications, and that results in them staying in the hybrid sector of cloud a little bit longer than necessary, and longer really than would actually benefit their business.
In addition to that, there are any number of other challenges. For example, another area that companies have either struggled with their cloud adoption strategies or even had to roll back their plans to adopt the cloud has been in their inability to identify workloads that can be moved to the cloud. So think of it this way. You have a lot of applications, a lot of systems of record that exist within your infrastructure that predominantly is on premise. And now you're trying to identify an application that you can move to the cloud, maybe as your first workload. And one of the criteria that you chose was to find a workload that has as few dependencies as possible on systems of record or solutions and systems that exist within your on-premise environment. And so what we've found is that initially when they started the journey, they thought either the application had no dependencies or very few dependencies, but come to find out as they get further along in that journey and they either want to enhance the application or scale the application, they're unable to because the number of dependencies on-premise systems increases. And that puts a significant amount of strain on any sort of bridge, data bridge that you've built between your on-premise compute and storage and all of your infrastructure with what you have in the cloud. So these are obviously some of the challenges that we've encountered. There are any number of other that you can highlight. For example, security and compliance teams are unable to translate with the level of detail that they've been able to on-premise in the cloud because one, they probably don't understand or fully comprehend the environment as much. And then, of course, is the mind shift, right? Which is, think of how you looked at compute, you looked at storage, you looked at software solutions. You have a procurement process. You go through, evaluate your competitive options, and then you come up and operationalize whatever choice you've made. However, there's a completely different option that is available when you go to the cloud, which is there are any number of services either available within that cloud provider as a native service, which you can consume and in the same fashion pay-as-you-go model, or you can consume any SaaS offering or acquire your own license and provision the necessary infrastructure and also operationalize that stack. So people who are either not aware or don't have the requisite experience in this space are often challenged. So I think these are some of the reasons why organizations struggle in their cloud adoption journeys.